Greetings, you people, and hello, my keen. How is it going, and how is it been? This is Briarstone, and I welcome you to some Huntsman, the Orphanage. This game is a work in progress. It is not quite done. However, you can get it. You can pick up a copy. You can play it if you decide to on Steam right now, currently. And I'm not sure what it costs because I was gifted this. But anyway, I am quite excited for this. I don't know if you guys know, some of you may, but I decided to try to audition for a voice part for this particular game. I did not get it, however, because I know it may come as a surprise, but I cannot get my voice into the realm of a teenager. It's actually close to impossible. I don't know if that's hard for you to believe or not. But, yeah, it's true. But anyway, the awesome devs here for the game decided to give me a copy just for trying, you know, just for signing up, auditioning, and what have you. So here we are, and we're about to play, and we're going to have a good time with it. Now, it is a very, very, very story-heavy game, okay? And as in the description of the game, it is loaded with creepypasta. So let's get started, and hope to God I do not do anything ridiculous on camera. We're playing. Mind you, look what I have. Strengths. Haha. We're okay. We're gonna be fine. And as a story-heavy game, there's going to be a lot of dialogue, right? Or so I understand. There's a lot of dialogue, there's a lot of voice acting. And I have currently a phone. And if I remember correctly, yes, if you hit the F key, you can have a little bitty light. It's not much of one, but it is a light. And in amongst flickering lights. Alright, fine. What?
He's out there. Or I heard him.
Please help me.
He's right there. Still. Must he take you too?
Tick-tock, tick-tock.
Please help me.
Sure. A tick-tock, tick-tock. What have you? What does this say? Orchard Road? Is that what that says? Orchard Road? And this is Grim Haven's Orphanage. There's a couple of things right now that I have to point out. If you are at all sane in your head, you do not go to creepy places and there's shadows. Oh, they're just birds. Okay, that's fine. Just don't get pooped on. You do not go to creepy places in the middle of the night with your only light source being a phone. I don't care what kind of phone. I don't care if it's from Apple. It's not good enough for this. It's not strong enough. It's not made as a flashlight. It's made as a communications device. Which I guess in this case would be fine, because if you get into trouble, you can have somebody take your phone and offer a ransom for your poor body. Now, let's see. Where are we going? Okay, that's creepy. The tick-tock, tick-tock, and all I hear is... Where is the tick-tock coming from? You know what's creepy? Just thinking of the name Huntsman. That's creepy. Oh, and it quits. Just before it strikes? No? Alright. Shut the damn door. I guess. We don't want it to rain outside and, you know, ruin the interior of the place.
Listen to me, young'un, and take and take heed you listen careful like. For I, Jasper Crowd, am done, dusted, beggared, broken and cursed, and well I deserve it. The coward that I was cost the souls of 12 innocent children, don't you laugh. You would do well to listen to my story, for there's no jesting with me. Mr. Dickens was right when he said, we forged the chains in life we wear. Oh yes, indeed we do. Them children were orphans, foundlings and such, all sorts but barely a bad egg amongst them, though I'll nae speak ill of the dead, if that they be. What did I do? It grieves me still to confess, I betrayed them every one. 'Twas fear that made me do it, more's the shame. They put their trust in me, all of them matron too, and until that night had every reason to. Decent I was, honest, faithful, right before man and God, but that was before I set eyes on Satan himself. I remember fear, I remember loneliness and melancholy, sad as a mournful tune, so thick 'twas like being smothered in a blanket of laudanum. Doom spoke that night, and I had not the heart to deny him. Those cursed pocket watches, who'd have thought the devil's power was in a timepiece? Dozens there were, tick, 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 faster, slower, I cannot remember. I only know I lost myself, such was my terror, and before I could recover my wits, I had given him the keys, all of them, the keys to every room in the place, and begged and pleaded that he take the children.
Sorry, I'm just crouching, making myself less visible. I'm getting freaked right the hell out.
He take the children and spare my wretched soul. So he did. But the wretch he spared was to become more wretched a soul racked with guilt than any soul damned to join him and his hellish band. Then nothing, not a sound, just a full moon in the night creature's calls. 'Twas peculiar to me how I'd heard not earlier on my rounds, nary an owl's hoot. After, they called again, as if they'd known ahead of time that evil lurked. Oh, the constabulary were called next morning, and the newspaper men flocked, like hungry crows, to berate us day and night. The coon dogs were brought in, carousing for days in every direction, so that you'd have been forgiven for imagining an entire chain gang of convicts was on the loose. But 'twas the emptiness howled louder than any hound. No scent, no blood, no trace. Just vanished. Some folk pointed their fingers fair square in my direction, suspecting, and rightly so, that my unnatural silence concealed a guilty conscience. My confessions before judge and jury went unheeded. The ranting of an inferior mind marred by distress, the judge decreed. But when all was said and done, naught but silence lingered like a faint perfume where young'uns had prattled and played. Besides, I was known as a good man. So, I stayed, as if my presence was a living reminder of what had been. Matron, cook, staff, all drifted away to other places, other lives, when it became clear to the simplest of men that the children were never to return. Naturally enough, no one else came near the place, as if the silence itself was contagious. So I kept the buildings from dreary decay to ease my guilty soul, and appease the wrath of the Lord and the taken. Night terrors. 'Tis without a word of untruth to tell you I've never slept a full night without waking in bone-cold terror, the sweat frothing my brow like a beast on a devil's ride. I could no longer face my own quarters, but sought sanctuary in the Lord's chapel, though the thought struck me many's the time, where was he when evil sought to call? I took some comfort that as the evil one had made his presence felt, perhaps the Lord in his wisdom would do so as well. Ach, he never did. No doubting my sin was too great, and my penance a trifling act compared to the eternal suffering of the lost ones. Though fair's to say, I slept beneath that altar and the paraphernalia, the clippings, photographs I collected, for 40 years, and never saw the masked one with the black, pitiless eyes and grasping limbs again, except in the darkest corners of my mind's wanderings, where he became known to me as the Huntsman, for, like a hunter, he collected souls for sport. But I heard him at every turn, in the creaking of the trees, the footsteps of a spring shower, and the night call of the frogs, the infernal timepieces. Tick, tick, tick. It maddened me, how could it not? A lesser mortal, I am sure, would have succumbed to death's damnation far sooner. But so great was my fear of the Lord's retribution, that I sought to busy my waking hours, such that I would slumber exhausted, yet still anxious every night. For years I suffered this torment, and hence the maze was built. I had always promised young Charlie that I would create such a contraption, as the boy had a fascination with music and puzzles, and together we spent many a pleasant hour poring over drawings and plans. So it was for Charlie, bastard foundling. I sweated some 25 years to plant and plan this memorial with a headstone set deep within the bosom of the hedges to honour each soul. The centrepiece was a great plane tree, a lush green beauty upon which in happier times I'd hung a double swing for the younger folk. Many's the time whilst planting and planning the maze, I would sit beneath its bereft branches and weep for the lost loveliness from this world. Until the night of the great storm, the eve of the very same day I wiped a polishing cloth across the words on the final headstone, and allowed my heart a moment's grace of peace and pride for a job well done. The same day, damn it, he had played me, trifled with my soul as carelessly as a fiddler draws a bow, as a cat toys with a mouse, teasing, terrifying before the choking kill. He had known me all the time, these years and years, mocking my toil, my futile, fruitless quest to make amends. He had always been near, the ticking in the maze, countless moments I struggled to still my pounding heart. 'Tis just a cricket. Nay, the huntsman, the predator, was simply biding his time. That night, cloudless, the air so thick that every breath was like sucking water from a melon. Crack! A single bolt of lightning straight from the bowels of hell, striking the heart of the gentle plane tree, shattering branch and bough in a flaming pyre. A sacrifice proclaiming, evil stands here in triumph. No goodness, no forgiveness, nor mercy. For another summer I sought to continue my work, but the last vestige of my faith was broken, crumbled like dust in the ploughman's hand. The terrors in my dreaming hours made clear the path I would have to take. I was old, broken and tired. If God did not want me, then the huntsman could have me. For what damnation could be more despicable than the 40 years of living hell created by my ignorance and cowardice? I had forged the chains I wore. 40 years. Was that not punishment enough? When our own Lord had suffered but 40 days and nights in desert wilderness, tempted by the devil? Enough. Cursed be the proclaimer of my fate.
Wow. Okay, I knew that it was story heavy, but damn, that was an entire chapter of a book. And I am extremely pleased. Amazing. How many other places are there in here like that? Okay, if anybody is familiar with myself and how I handle horror, I don't usually do it in the same manner as others. I don't really get really creeped out. Meanwhile, I am losing my shit right now. What's this? I have to stop being... What? I can't even jump in here. Okay. What's... All right. Okay, that TikTok thing has got to stop, because it's going to drive me absolutely insane. I am incredibly creeped out. Fuck, shit, what? I'm gonna sing myself a song, I think, to mellow and quiet my head. I'm gonna sing myself a song, I think, or else scared I'll be too dead. Grammar, what you know about it? Why is it so
Take
dark?
the children and spare. Children and spare my...
You know what? Just shut up. I already listened to you. Creeped out enough.
Matron says I'm a thief and a liar.
Yep. More than a thief and a liar. You're fucking creepy. Creepy as shit. There's nobody in here. Why is the telephone ringing? It's not even connected to any goddamn source of power. Hide under this damn desk. Just wait here and whimper until the... What is this? What? What? No, you don't understand. Pick it up.
Matron of Grimhaven Orphanage, yes, I was. But that was many years ago. At the risk of sounding unkind, I must say, it was never my intent in life to bear responsibility for an orphanage, and certainly not one of such tragic notoriety as Grimhaven. No, that plan was surely the Lord's, and the part I played simply the path he set before me. For my heart's desires were like so many of the gentler sex, and comprised of a loving husband, a home, children of one's own. Unfulfilled dreams, the lot. Please do not mistake me as a heartless woman, for Grimhaven was oft a happy place, and the children joyful and willful. But there hung about the buildings a pall of melancholy that frequently chilled my bones, and I was not the only one to note this strangeness, for I know for a fact it played in our caretaker's mind. Oh yes, this was long before the taking of the children. The tragedy. I would prefer not to discuss those events for my own peace of mind, for I am a sensitive woman who has lived with the sadness for too many years, and the distress lingers still in my heart. You know, the whole saga sent Mr. Crow, our caretaker, quite mad, dear man. He lived alone in Grimhaven for years after everyone else had long departed. But enough of this, for regret does little to ease the soul. However, I am willing to recall earlier times and more wholesome memories. Mind, that is not to say all events that took place were wholesome, but I fear I am running ahead with my prattle. How I became burdened with the responsibility and care of Grimhaven and those who sheltered within its walls is of little consequence. Suffice to say, I had at one time been a governess and engaged to be married to a young man who did not place the same importance on his word and character as he did on his future prospects. I am surely grateful I discovered his deceit in a timely manner before we were wed, for I was a woman of modest means and good heart, unlike the wealthy young miss whom he eventually married. I heard they were very unhappy together for many, many years. At that time, my employer was a member of Grimhaven's Board of Trustees, and it was his kindness and sympathy towards my plight which resulted in my future being secured through the board's offering me the position of matron, a position of care and responsibility I bore for 23 years. To my mind, the orphans were rather like apples, some sweet and wholesome, some thick-skinned with a bitter taste, and then there were those who had only a spot or two of rot that needed rooting out with a sharp paring knife to make them wholly good. And lastly, the other kind, thankfully rare, but by far the most distasteful of all. Do you follow my meaning? No? Well, let me explain, dear. For I am speaking of the apple that is plucked from the tree, ripe and sparkling. The apple that takes pride of place in the fruit bowl for its scent, color, and beauty of God's design. But when cut with a knife, its true core is exposed. A core that is brown, rotten through, and infested with writhing maggots. Oh, yes, we had an orphan such as I have just described. An evil boy. And I have little doubt that he was in some way to blame for the terrible events that took place, though I know not how. 'Tis true the devil makes work for idle hands, and I instructed my staff to ensure there was little opportunity for such. Every morning before lessons the girls would perform domestic duties, whilst the boys drew water from the well and swept the yard. After a simple but wholesome breaking of the fast, lessons were held until lunch, after which the children worked out in the orchard or upstairs in the sewing and carpentry rooms, the results of their toil being sold to contribute to their charitable upkeep. Prayers were conducted morning and night, and 4 times on the Sabbath day, in between 2 sermons preached under the wandering eyes of Pastor Cuthbert Povey, a bow-legged, inferior example of a man, for whom I had little time or respect, save that he did appear genuinely kind to the children. However, over time it became abundantly clear to me that his ministrations towards some members of staff were rather more familiar than godly, and combined with an alarming decrease in our cellared bottles of communion wine, I was little sorry to be rid of him. Odd, though, that he should leave behind his priestly attire on departing. The constabulary suspected foul play on his part, but I doubt he would have had the wits or capability to carry out such a plan, for he appeared weak and spineless, a self-serving fellow to my memory. I noted, too, that his garments were not all Cuthbert Povey left behind. Marguerite, The cook, the object of his dalliance, though not the only one, was also discarded and in a dreadful state too. Her reputation, such that it was in tatters, and as I recall, she moved away to her sister's out east for a good 9 months after Povey's departure. Foolish girl. Oh, she was capable enough in the kitchen, but prone to the most hysterical outbursts, and without a maternal bone in her body. She was intolerant of the children, more especially the girls, and at times cruel. Marguerite would repeatedly confiscate Dorothy's doll. What was it named? Gloria, that's it. The wee girl adored it. A gift from her late mother, as I recall. Where was I? Oh, yes. Marguerite would place the doll high out of Dorothy's reach, though the child had done no wrong. It was a heartless trick, and one I chastised her for on many occasions. Marguerite, with cruel, hard crow's eyes, and likewise a penchant for glittering objects. I blame her for the disappearance of my beautiful music box, Parisian, you know, with a dancing ballerina and very exotic. I would swear on the Holy Bible that she was the one who took it, if only the Lord would permit me to do so. Her confidant was Hattie, one of the older girls, and a cunning little light-fingered miss, too. With a forked tongue like a lizard, her lies were boundless, so perhaps it was her. But no, it is not fair of me to accuse one of the unfortunate taken ones of such a mischief. I am certain it was Marguerite. But the boy, the evil child to whom I referred earlier, Rupert Murdoch. He came to us as a 5-year-old, his parents and baby sister having succumbed to typhoid in the city. It was a miracle the child survived it all, for his hair and clothes were matted with filth and infested with vermin. He appeared quite steady and placid of nature, an extraordinarily pretty child, as I recall, and wholly undisturbed by the loss of his loved ones. I never heard him ask for any of them, not ever. Like the shiny apple that he was, Rupert proved an exceptionally gifted child, with a sharp intellect who excelled at his lessons. However, by the time he was 16, the same year as the tragedy, Rupert had grown into a young man with some oddly disturbing ways. He warmed to no one and kept solely to his own company, save that of any spiders he found, for he delighted in collecting the loathsome things and frightening the younger children with them. Like Marguerite, Rupert harbored a cruel streak, and would lock anyone who crossed him in the cellar without remorse. Timepieces, too, the boy would thieve them whenever the opportunity presented itself. Clocks of all shapes and sizes, even men's pocket watches. I would regularly collect his loot from beneath his bed, but he was never contrite and would duly reoffend, much to my annoyance. I was regrettably unable to break him of his habit, although I tried many methods and punishments. Now, what I'm about to tell you is something I have never uttered to a living soul, and no doubt it would be more prudent to keep my counsel, but the years are passing for me so rapidly it seems that perhaps my share in this with you may help to shed a glimmer of light on the events that took place so long ago at Grimhaven. Although in frankness I fear that all my words will do is add further mystery to the already mysterious. It seems peculiar on reflection that the week prior to the children's disappearance I suffered a most disturbing dream which left me wakened, cold and trembling in my bed. It was so many years ago, yet I still vividly recall an enormously vile creature, half man, half spider, looming over my bed as if to strike me, whilst all around dozens of pocket watches were ticking with a dreadful intensity of sound. I felt as if I were spinning and falling or rising, I could not tell. I remember Rupert, for he was there, right there within my dream, laughing and gleeful with such animation as I have never seen upon his face in all the years I had known him. The wretched boy grinned as if mocking me, and then slowly, deliberately wound one pocket watch so that the hands moved backwards around its face, as if time itself was running backwards. All the while he stared with such malevolence. Choking hands were around my throat, and the giddy sensation became so violent that I awoke in terror, half out of my bedclothes, with my own hands clutched tight at my neck, causing me to feel dreadfully dizzy and quite ill. Some time later, when I had eventually regained my composure, common sense deemed that I blamed the nightmare on Marguerite's pudding, which always had far too much cinnamon for my taste. Quite excessive. Wasteful girl. It was not until I heard poor Mr. Crow's ramblings before the judge that I realized the experience of which he spoke was uncannily similar to the visions that so disrupted my slumber. Indeed, I was greatly disturbed, but after some reflection thought better than to trouble the authorities with a foolish woman's imaginings. For surely what else could it be but mere coincidence? My other motivation was perhaps less considerate, but more honest, and I will confess as much to you now. It was clear to me that Grimhaven's days were numbered, for who would want any part of such an ill-fated establishment? I was a single woman, remember. I had no husband to support me in my dotage, and would need to find work elsewhere before the taint of tragedy entirely dismembered my employment prospects. So that is what I did. Nothing. For what could I do in the end but to save myself? There was, after all, no one else left to save, except a mad old caretaker and some run-down ruins. Now, dear, tea.
No. Wine. Or whiskey. If I'm to have tea, I'll have wine or whiskey in my tea. Well, guys, that is going to be a quick, moderately quick, introduction to Huntsman, the Orphanage. There are many, many questions to be solved, and as I mentioned at the outset, excuse me, don't be interrupting me. This is a work in progress. It will be hopefully done. The developers hope for it to be done by Black Friday. And the ticking stops. That's right. Better run. I don't know. Break your cogs off? It's not exactly scary. But anyway, if there's anything about this video that you did indeed enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content such as this. And who knows, somewhere down the line, if you guys so will it, I'm hoping that you don't, I will do a let's play of this. I don't do scary games usually. I technically
And
just
spare my wretched soul. So he did.
Don't be talking to me, man. Oh my god. Without further ado, I am getting the hell out of here. Subscribe to the channel, guys. And yeah, see you later. This is have a good day, have a good evening wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you later. This is Briarstone signing out.